Hello, everybody, and welcome to this new season of the All About People sessions. Today we have with us Kimberly Fernandez. She's the Executive Director of Federal Hill House. How are you, Kim?
Great, thank you for having me. How are you?
I'm doing all right.
Good.
Excited to have you here, especially for the new season
That's
of All About
wonderful.
People sessions. So, tell me about Federal Hill House. It's been serving the community for so many years.
Yeah.
What do you think make this organization so special, and for the families and the seniors and everybody that makes life in there?
Yeah. I mean, it is really a special place. You've been there and you know.
Yes.
And I think one of the things that really does make it special is the intergenerational feel that you get. I love going to a job every day where I might see babies, or I'll see babies, toddlers, school-age children, maybe teenagers in the summer if they're working or volunteering, older folks, and everybody in between. And so it's really the intergenerational nature, I think, makes it really special. And it's also very multicultural. We have folks from all different communities. Everything we do is in more than one language, so we're pretty accessible, which I think is nice. And I love people over time. So it might be a grandma having lunch or going to the senior center or volunteering, and maybe the older siblings in an after school and the younger siblings in childcare, and maybe the parents get their taxes done or go to the food pantry or volunteer or come to a community event. So it's just sort of like a whole family experience, which I really appreciate.
I love that. And like you said, I got to experience that firsthand. I remember when we were doing the Thanksgiving community dinner,
Yes.
that one of the lovely ladies that was cooking the food was telling me that she attended
Yes.
Federal Hills House, and now her daughter is in the program at Federal
Yes.
Hills House too. I think that is such an amazing institution, and to be standing there for such a long time.
Yeah.
It's really a fit.
No, it's nice, and it's really evolved over time. Kind of started with Irish and Italians, then other folks who kind of either live in the community or are new to the country, and just helping people create that network and adjust. Even my own family's part of it. I mean, my dad has been a volunteer income tax assistance preparer for 6 years now.
Wow.
My mom has volunteered. My husband and my kids come and help with the Thanksgiving dinner. So my sister's done some centerpieces for the senior center. So it's kind of like once we bring you in, however you want to engage, we're here for it.
That's beautiful. But as beautiful as it is, I am sure that you have faced certain challenges, especially. How long have you been the executive director?
8 years.
8 years.
Yeah, just 8 years.
And in those 8 years, what do you say would be some challenges that you faced, and how did you overcome them?
Yeah, I mean, I would say the two biggest challenges were really obviously the pandemic, because we didn't miss any time with our food pantries and some of our outreach programs. Even though we had to close down our daycare for a few months, we opened right back up. And so that was very challenging, just emotionally for the staff and for the people, and the level of stress. So for me, I'm a social worker by training, so I spend so much time kind of worrying about them, helping them, trying to minimize risk, and trying to, keep it all going, right? So we get through that, people come again, and some of the funding changes too. Obviously the pandemic did provide a little bit of extra support financially for the services, which was really needed. Now we're in a very different political environment with a lot of uncertainty, and so the challenge is really trying to plan to sustain services to meet the need. So, for example, some of the demand has gone down, like for after school, because people have a lot more flexibility. They might have family and friends that they got used to taking care of kids after school, or their work lets them leave a little earlier, so that program shrunk a little bit. And then the food pantry's grown because there's a lot of demand with inflation and all the various factors. So, just try to keep that steady balance of the resources and the services is really the biggest challenge.
I bet.
But we have a great team, so
I was
that's
just gonna say that,
that's
but
like,
I know you have a great team.
Yeah.
And I bet that makes it so much pleasant and easier to solve things when you're like a big family.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Now, you are one of our partners, one of our clients here in Imperiall. How have you felt that Imperial, the work that we do at Federal Hill House, how do you feel that it has helped improve the atmosphere or the operations at Federal Hill House?
Yeah. I mean, it's so wonderful to have a reliable partner like Imperial. We, I don't think everybody notices when things are super clean, but they would notice if they were dirty. And I know with my own family, if back when I looked for childcare, I noticed the cleanliness of a place. And that makes a difference on whether people feel welcome and safe and they feel like there's pride in the organization. I mean, we've spent a lot of time and effort painting or redoing floors or the play spaces and trying to work on the physical structure. But if you have a decent physical structure but it's not clean, then it kind of defeats the whole purpose. Yeah. And I feel like the space is clean, and that kind of shows like a care and a quality of the space and the services that I really appreciate.
Absolutely, thank you so much. Thank you so much for saying that. We pride ourselves in the work that we do, and especially with a place like yours where you have little babies in the daycare center, and then you have elderly seniors.
Yeah.
You know, it just spans the whole family tree, and these are the most vulnerable people too. So
Absolutely. Even just, walking into the infant room, we don't wear shoes in the infant room, and last night we had a new family, and their child was an infant, but she was an infant too. And so I walked them in and I said, "Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't ask you to take your shoes off." Because I was so excited. I just met them and I said, "It's okay. It's, the end of the day, they're going to clean tonight. So it's fine. Just in general, we don't wear shoes." You know what I mean? So it's like I have that knowledge that, okay, just because I might have forgotten to take my shoes off at 5:30, I know it's going to be clean for the next day because there are babies crawling around and, you never know what they're gonna touch and put in their mouth. So it's really important that things are clean.
Yeah. Even if they're on the floor and they're just putting their hands on the floor and then they put their hands in the mouth.
Exactly. Yeah, I haven't seen them lick the floor yet, but you never know. Either way, they're moving around. I'm sure it's happened once. Who knows.
And going back to that wonderful team that works with you, I met most of them and I got the chance to interview them when we were helping and volunteering at the Thanksgiving community dinner. But tell me a little bit about your style of leadership and what kind of things you apply at work that you've learned. You said that your background is as social worker, right? So you're obviously for people.
Right.
Yes. So as a leader, and in these 8 years that you've been the executive director, what would you say your leadership style is, and what kind of things do you apply at work?
Let's see. So I do really try to build, as a social worker, we're strengths-based. So we focus on what people are good at and where they want to grow and really try to build on that. Obviously, I have an eye for details, so I can see if, something's out of place, but I do really try to build on people's strengths. We changed our tagline a few years ago to "You belong here," and so we're really trying to create that culture of belonging, valuing folks, valuing different people's input and ideas and feedback, and trying to be as responsive as possible. Really emphasizing teamwork. That's another focus is breaking down the silos, having people work together as much as possible. One of our values is accountability, so trying to be responsible for what we say we're going to do, hold each other responsible, kind of delegate, hey, can you guys work together on this? Let me know how it goes, and then that follow-up instead of, I can't do everything myself, so I have to be ready for that. And then really the justice value. So justice for us is about making sure that we're a space that anybody can access what they need in a fair and equitable way. And so that people are included, people have resources. We try to we don't separate the helpers and the helpees per se. We have seniors in our senior programs, but they're volunteering, so they're not feeling like they're receiving a service, they're providing a service. We have, I think, 9 staff members now who started as interns. And we've had more, some of them have moved on, so they might come in, then they join our team, then they might enroll their child in the program or bring their grandma or get their taxes done or whatever that is. So we try to create whatever you have, whatever you need, you're welcome here, let's work together. It's not it's not a typical charity where there's a separation. It's a community space where people come together for what everybody needs.
Yeah. And that jumps right into what it was going to be my next question. About that, what strategies do you use to integrate everybody? Because it is such a different space to what you have for the little kids and what you have for the seniors.
Yeah.
How do you keep that harmony going inside of the building itself?
Yeah. I mean, regular communication, staff meetings amongst the leadership, but also trying to have some regular all-staff days. We can't do it too often because we don't want to close childcare when parents have to work, but we have a few days a year where we come together. And recently in February, we actually practiced, if I met you and I'm in this scenario, but I notice you have a child, or you might be on the older side, not you look old, come to our senior center, but like, hey, did you know that we have meals 3 days a week? I know you're here picking up food for home. Would you like to come share a meal with your neighbors? And kind of getting the staff comfortable, not upselling, but being resourceful. We also have a family support team that we launched. So they operate out of the food pantry and in our play groups through Providence Talks. So as families get to know them and come through, if they need something else, they're there to say, oh yeah, we do that, or no, we don't do that, but we know these people who do. So just trying to kind of keep it together. And then of course that internal staff newsletter, don't forget this event's happening, this person's coming, like we double booked the calendar, so just a lot of communication, and flexibility, I guess.
Yeah, those are very important traits to have, especially when you're working with public.
Yeah.
You have to be able to think on your feet. And I love that idea of just being able to identify what other services people might need or might want.
Yeah.
Maybe they have an elderly person at home that is bored out of their mind, or somebody that is just, somebody that wants to hang out, somebody that wants to do community.
Yeah.
It's hard for little babies and it's hard for older people.
Yeah, and there's no pressure. Yeah. It's just getting to know each person and family so that you can say, hey, if you ever are interested, we also have this. I'm in the same spaces where we do the income taxes. So whenever I, pass through the hallway and I see somebody with a little, oh, hey, did anybody tell you about this, that, or the other thing? Are you taking care of? Oh, great. Well, if you're ever interested in childcare, give us a call back. Come see. I've had people kind of peek in the room just to put that little seed in their mind. Maybe they don't need it now, but if they know what we offer, when the time comes, they might think, oh yeah, I saw that. Maybe I'll go back for that.
Yes, I love that. Excellent strategy. And where, now that you've been in there for almost a decade, I'm gonna say, where do you see you taking Federal Hill House? Where to, let's say in 5 years' time?
Yeah. Well, I think the biggest thing for me is just building that financial stability, not trying to grow or do all sorts of new things. This isn't the time for that. It's really building that foundation so that when we do have the ups and downs in politics or government or support or another pandemic, that we can continue to meet the need. And I think that's my biggest thing, is just solidifying what we're doing, tracking our impact. That's something we've been doing the last couple of years better. We have a integrated database now, and we're able to look at things differently. So just really making sure, okay, are we having the impact we want? Do we have the resources we need? We're going to be going into another strategic planning cycle, but it's really going to be about strengthening and shoring up. We already do so many things and it can be hard. A lot of organizations, I'm going to try this and this, but then you dilute the impact and you dilute the quality. So really trying to stay focused and set us up for the next, 137 years or 38 years, however many years we've been around.
Wow. Yeah, that's going to take some planning and some adapting and flexibility.
Absolutely.
For sure. Well, excellent. Thank you so much for being today with us here, sharing everything. You are so kind and so nice. And I love when I met your family. Your husband is also a very kind person. And your children are fantastic.
Thank you. Yeah, no, they love the organization. They love to volunteer. And We love having you guys come around. It's really, really nice.
Thank you so much. Yeah,
Oh,
we'll
thank
be
you.
coming again this year. And
Sounds
any
great.
other opportunities that you want support, you know where to find us.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
That's good.
And thank you, everybody, for watching this first episode of the new season of the All About People session. Thank you so much, Kim.
Thank you.
And thanks, everybody.
Thank you. That was
Yeah.
fun.
See, I told you it was going to be fun.
You're easy. You're easy to talk to because you smile. You're good.